Well, the woman at the heart of the IRS scandal targeting Tea Party groups is retiring and still sitting pretty on your dime. Lois Lerner confessed back in May that the IRS did single out conservative groups for extra scrutiny when they applied for tax-exempt status. Lerner also famously pled the fifth 2 weeks later at a hearing after it was revealed she not only lied to the American people, but that she was instrumental in overseeing that policy. She was placed on paid leave, not fired. And now that she's retired, she's still going to live off your tax dollars. Jay Sekulow is chief counsel for the American Center for Law and Justice and a key player in all of this. Jay, great to see you today. I know that you represent dozens of groups who were targeted by the IRS. What did you make of the news yesterday when you heard that Ms. Lerner is retiring?
Well, I'm not shocked. I mean, I think what she did was she made a calculated decision herself. She was heading up, she worked for the IRS, so she's supposed to understand something about numbers. She's figuring, look, I'll get my retirement benefits. She's been in government service for a long time. But this shows you the problem, Shannon. We've let the head of tax exempt, that was definitely, as these emails are indicating, one of the main masterminds, not the only one, but one of the main people behind this unconstitutional and illegal targeting of these conservative organizations. And rather than having her terminated, which is what the commissioner and the acting commissioner of Internal Revenue Service should have done, they put her on paid administrative leave. So during this entire time, the American people have been paying for her, our tax dollars paying her salary. But look, they had letters going out from her with her signature in August of this year, even though she'd been on administrative leave already for 2.5 months. So I think we've got the reality, Shannon, that this was a calculated move by Lois Lerner and her lawyers to avoid losing her retirement benefits and her other government benefits rather than being fired. She should have been terminated for cause, period.
Well, we know that you still have the lawsuits pending. I mean, that's just beginning for her.
Yes.
We have members of Congress, Congressman Issa, Senator Hatch, both stepping up and saying this does not end our inquiry into what happened at the IRS, nor our questions for Lois Lerner. Can you tell us a little bit also, there's an FBI criminal investigation from what I understand as well. Can you tell us a little bit about the lawsuits you still have pending, the progress of any of that group's moving toward tax-exempt status, and do the lawsuits name Lois Lerner herself, or is it the IRS more broadly?
No, it does name Lois Lerner herself, as well as, of course, the Internal Revenue Service and other individuals at the IRS that we allege are responsible for this. The lawsuit is now 41. We have 41 plaintiffs in the case. So it's a large lawsuit. We're about to amend the complaint for the third time in light of this new evidence, Shannon, that came out just last week with these new emails showing what was going on at the IRS and the targeting. The government has granted two of our clients, interestingly, some of the C3 clients have been granted tax-exempt status since the lawsuit has passed, been filed. None of the C4s yet. We understand that, as it sits right now at least, that the FBI is making an investigation. However, I know that from the pleadings that the government has filed, the lawsuit responses that we received, they say there's an ongoing FBI investigation. But, Shannon, I will tell you that not one of our clients have been contacted. Not one has been contacted by the FBI. And, don't you think if there's a serious investigation by the FBI here that they'd be contacting the victims of this discrimination? And, look, the government can fix this. It's a horrible situation what the government did. Not only do they need to acknowledge their wrongdoing, they could put in place a program that says they're not going to do it again. It can be overseen by a court if necessary. They can give the clients their tax-exempt status, which we've been pending now for 3 years on a lot of these. And they can also give appropriate damages for their acknowledged and admitted, illegal activity here. They could do that. The government has the authority to do that. Instead, I'm sure we'll get, eventually get motions to dismiss on technical grounds, and we'll be responding. But we've got a team of lawyers on this at the ACLJ. And what I would do with Lois Lerner right now if I was in Congress is grant her immunity based on a proffer. If she puts forward what she's going to testify, it may be well worth giving her immunity, because I think this is pointing a lot higher up than even Lois Lerner.
Well, and to recap for folks, because it's been a few weeks since we've talked about the statistics here, but from the House Ways and Means Committee, which looked into this, they said of the groups that were targeted, 104 of the 111 were conservative organizations. They were asked an average of 15 questions each, and 46% of them were approved, which means we still have, more than 50% of them out there still waiting, as opposed to progressive groups. There were 7 of them. They were asked 5 questions on average each, and 100% of them have been approved. How key was Lois Lerner to that entire bit of mathematics?
She was in charge of the tax-exempt organization. We know from the email, Shannon, that these applications were coming up right in front of her. I posted an article on FoxNews.com, an op-ed that I've written on this issue, and the reality is this is coming from Lois Lerner. I mean, she was in charge of this division. Now, it could have, originated higher up, and I suspect it did, but she was certainly the primary implementer of this policy, and none of the liberal groups were denied status. And by the way, 15 questions, some of them had 10 and 15 subparts. There were literally dozens, hundreds of questions for some of these groups. And then how do you explain, and how does the IRS explain, that Lois Lerner letters with her stamped signature on it were coming out of the IRS in late August, just, a month ago, and she'd been on leave for 2.5 months? None of this can be explained. They need to get to the bottom line. I think the Congress is working diligently on this, but this is a huge scandal. I mean, the government doing this and targeting people like they did and asking about the content of prayer activities, it's just outrageous. The president said he was going to get to the bottom of it. The FBI, through the U.S. Attorney Eric Holder, said there may well be criminal allegations here. And I'll tell you this, I do understand why she took the Fifth Amendment based on the testimony and the emails that are coming out. No wonder she took the Fifth, although I question if it was a valid taking of that Fifth Amendment. But right now, we need to get answers and evidence and get these cases resolved. These groups have still been pending. The lawsuit's been filed for months now. The IRS can grant their exempt status. They've been pending for 3 years. The IRS needs to do that now.
We got to leave it there, Jay. Thank you very much.